So welcome to Monitor, what I'm calling version UG, standing for ugly. Uh, just really catch up on where we're going. Working on a very interesting project, which is taking a different approach to CRM and different approach to feeding data. Basically, organizing and setting up your system for a workflow approach to a CRM. So I just have some junk data and some junk systems, but I just wanted to go through some of the concepts just to go through and explain what's going on here. All right, so this is the standard monitor system. There's a lot of things in flux here because I'm changing some technology and what's going on, but I just wanted to go through just a few of the concepts here. First, just going to quickly load up, just some sample workflows. So let's just get our workflow, and we have our sample workflow here. Send mail to some person, a user task, another user task, another user task based on some decisions, and we have some internal process. So what we wanted to go through here was a little bit about what we can do with Monyta, which you just can't really do with a lot of other applications. So I'm just going to create this idea of calling this API. So we're just going to simply create an API test, and here we're going to use a microservice. So the microservice, we have a lot here. These are all automated. So we're just pulling all this information from Swagger or from OpenAPI. So we're just going to go to Pet Shop, which is the standard example. So, let's just do something simple. We'll get a pet by status. So we can either use one of the system variables, which are we fetch based on the screens and information we collect, or we can just type in one. In this case, we can see that, it's available, pending, or sold. So let's just say, available, available, and we have two variables we can set. So we're going to set a response pet status and a response JSON var. So we're going to say this. So we're going to see the status is going to be one of these, 200, 400. And our JSON, always the results are in JSON. So this is just from the documentation from the OpenAPI. Let's just save that. And we're going to close that. So let's say we have this path here and we want to do some JSON API. And then we're going to say, all right, we travel along this path. We've done our API. And now we're going to do another service task. So what are we going to do here is the response selector. You can see here we can look at our responses and we can see what was returned from that API. And let's say we want the name of the pet. We can either take the first one, and that's the pet name. Maybe we want to add this. We also want maybe the first category name, pet category name, to get the results. Obviously, this is not so useful because it's returning an array and we're just getting the first element, but it was doing a single pet, that would be fine. Or we can actually iterate through this array and then process each individual value as it goes along. And that is is some of the complexity that we can do here. Following this through, we call our API, we can fetch the data, set the data, and then we can perform a parallel processing or singular processing based on that information. But using the JSON selector means that we're not just stuck with a flat piece of information. We actually can process very complex information. Okay, so where does this all fit in? So in this case, we're working on building an application. Now this is version ugly, so you can see it's just some ugly ass information here, displaying, what is the package, what are the views here, what models are we using, certain default values for drop down, selecting widgets, etc. So this is very similar to a lot of package builder that you're going to see out there, but obviously not based on workflows. So, this ugly looking package builder, which we will make beautiful soon, leads us to our live package view. So what this package view has done has created this type of view. It's still work in progress, but you can see that we have our data model called company here, first name, phone number, company name. What we've done is associated workflows here. So in this case, we've said, okay, with this first person called A, phone number, we can actually start a workflow here. We can add as many workflows as we want. So why would you want to do that? You can create reminder workflows. You can set up, message workflows, email workflows, SMS, etc. workflows. So having workflows can either be triggered by certain events, or they can be triggered by just a simple click on the button. Here we can we go to our edit. Here's a custom form that we built, just playing around with the different information and the data binding. So it's real-time updating my phone. So we're just playing around with this. The other type of views that we have right now is default list and Kanban. So we can see our Kanban here as well. So, as I said, this is ugly version. So it's really just getting into, seeing how everything works. So we can check out our one which is tagged as progress. The other things that we have here is we have our task orientation. So each of those workflows that we set up allocate tasks. So we have group tasks, project tasks, and you can create your own personal tasks. So we can have a look, my new task. This is my new task. Okay, nothing to do. Saves away. And we have our group task up here. This task is associated with the form. And we have another task which is associated with the form. Now these can also be data bound ones, so they're either associated with information, which is just as it comes through, or it's data bound, which means the data coming through will be from the database rather than within the workflow. Database forms suddenly become database tasks, become aware of where that came from, it was a company or a person, so it becomes aware of that information and can retrieve that information related to this task in that data bound process. The next items we have here is calling. So we have just a telephone, ability to call, our logs. This can be done on any page. And we have our workflow. So let's have a look at what's going on. We can see here we have two processes running right now on this view. And, we have some other, little test workflows that are happening. And that's really all that's going on. We have some other things, mailbox. This is currently being worked on, so this is going to needs to be connected because of Google's announcement in February. They're not going to support IMAP, so there needs to be a new solution there. And settings is nothing more than connecting OTC and all those other kind of fancy things. So, this is all kind of dynamically rendered, pulling from the different APIs. And as I said, it's changing the mentality. So the design here is to change the salespeople's process to be thinking about what is the workflow that they're working with and how it operates, and not just, loading tasks, saving tasks, and how to generate a report. So really trying to change the mentality of workflow focused process with dynamic data rather than something like a CRM, which is very structured data and has your features but lacks that whole process organization in it. So you imagine, send an email, does this user qualify? If not, send the task, this group task, or pass this task on to someone else, perform an underwriting, blah, blah, blah. So these workflows can get very complex and really allow for something very, very intense to go on. And obviously, because it's focused on sales right now, for this deployment, it's really, really showing a lot of automation, reminders and emails and SMSs and all these kind of cool things. So this is a ugly version. There'll be I'll do another one of these later to show a less ugly version with a couple of real life, uh, I guess we'd call them CMSs based, workflow based CMSs for a couple of salespeople that I'm working with. So that'll be very exciting to see. And yeah, when we have some real data, it'll be really, really a lot more interesting than the test data that I've put here.